Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Casual Conversation with GNA. We are here with Conversation 50. It's on Vicente Fernandez legacy.
Sorry it's late, but man, Fridays for us,
Yeah.
Saturdays for us, we're busy people. But we're here. And we wanted to talk about Vicente Fernandez because as we all know, he's a Mexican icon. And
Musical legend.
he recently passed away, and we thought that, it would be a perfect time to talk about it. So yeah, without further ado, go ahead, Eileen.
Um,
Do you want me to say Vicente Fernandez? Like he was considered a Frank Sinatra of rancheras in Mexico. So he was very, very famous, very well known, um, and loved by all the fans, especially like, I want to say even like the youth, like everybody knows
yeah,
him.
everyone had an appreciation.
Yeah. So we're gonna start off with talking about what a charro is because that's what he was. He was a charro and he sang rancheras, and we kind of wanted to talk about that as a background because it's
Yeah.
kind of like, what is that? Like what do charros do?
Yeah, and I feel like it's important because I feel like he was a defining factor, a great representation of what a charro was. There was a lot of people who looked up to him and who would ask him for advice on how to be the best charro.
Hmm.
Right? He really took it serious. So yeah, what is a charro? In case you don't know, it's a Mexican horseman or cowboy, typically one wearing elaborate outfit, often with silver decorations, tight trousers, ruffled shirt, short jacket, and a sombrero. So, just a little more info. A charro is part of a charreada, which is a popular Mexican event, which is basically a rodeo, a competitive proving ground for a new type of Mexican cowboy, um, the brave and proud charros. So it's very cultural. So Jalisco, Mexico is the state where the tradition of the charreria is still alive and well today. And I feel like it's important to bring that up because, Vicente was born in Jalisco. So maybe, he was already exposed, and or maybe he just genuinely did have an appreciation, for charros. So yeah, Mexican charros are much different than the idea of the American cowboy in that of culture, etiquette, mannerism, clothing style, and social status, which are all quite unique. The history of the charro dates back to the Spanish conquest when ranch owners would outfit their cowboys with distinctive clothing and saddles to denote status and wealth. So around the 1930s, charreria became a national event popularized by the charros of Jalisco and the state of Mexico and grew to become Mexico's national sport. Charreria is best described as a mix of rodeo skills and dressage, with riders showing traditional competitive roping and ranch skills, but also exquisite costumes, custom tack, and horse grooming, and horsemanship skills like dancing horses.
Dude, and these outfits are not
Yeah,
cheap.
they're not.
They're
They're not.
like, I think the cheapest like charro outfit is like what, $300?
Yeah, and even if
Like a
you
real
get,
one?
yeah, a real one, but even if you get like one that's like doesn't have all, like, those embellishments, like where it's just, threaded with like silver thread, those are still pricey
Yeah.
too. Yeah, they're still pricey,
I
but
think they're over $100, right?
yeah,
And dude, not only the outfit, but like the maintenance and care for the horses, because these
yeah.
are show animals, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Because yeah, they teach them,
expensive.
they're dancing horses, so they they have to take the time to care and maintenance. I mean, it's not only about like just what can the horse do, it's also about their grooming, like how well are they presented, you know, because
Yeah.
um yeah, I feel like it's like a respectable type of tradition, right?
Yeah, and I remember as a kid, because my dad, my dad's like I want to say he's a cowboy.
Yeah.
Um, he would take us to like where they would have horses and they would train them how to dance and stuff like that. And I was just always like, I don't think they should be doing that. Like, that's so sad. Why are they making
Yeah.
them dance? They're probably miserable, but that's part of the the charreada
Yeah,
type.
that culture.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, Vicente was big on this. He did have some horses, right?
Yes.
Um yeah, and that's basically what a charro is. Oh, and they have like, I believe it's like a yearly event, a yearly charreria event. Um I think the next one that we're gonna do was gonna be in Guadalajara.
And I was going to talk about that because he actually, Vicente Fernandez, has his own. I wrote it somewhere. Hold on, give me a minute. He has his own. Hold on, it's like he made like this place, like arena
Oh,
where they have like these events. They have like charro, like horse things. So I don't remember what it's called. It's gonna come up though. Um, and it's
but
pretty interesting because it's like it holds a lot of people and it's a big and it's in Guadalajara, I believe.
but I feel like it just goes to show how important it was for him, you know? Like it was more than just like a culture, it was like a lifestyle, huh?
Oh, definitely. So in those times, that was when I don't know if you guys have heard of the charros, the original charros de Mexico, which was Jorge Negrete, and he was 42 years old, and he passed away in 1953. There also was Pedro Infante, which he was 39 also when he passed away. So they passed away pretty young in 1957. And Javier Solis, he was 34 when he passed away. And this happened in 1966, which kind of I'm going to talk about which the death of Javier Solis kind of led to Vicente Fernandez's
The start of his
yeah,
career.
the start of his career. So yeah, so let's get into it. So Vicente Fernandez, he was born in February 17th of 1940 in Huentitan, El Alto, Jalisco. And his father was a rancher. And I want to talk about that because his family wasn't like they didn't have money. Like they were like farmers. They would live off of the farm. They would do agriculture and they would also raise cattle. Sometimes that wasn't enough for his family. So him and his brothers, they had to go out and kind of like help other ranchers and work on side jobs in order for them to be able to bring, money home to provide for his mother and his sisters. So his father's name, did I write his father's name? Yes,
Oh, you did.
Ramon Fernandez. And his mother's, she was a homemaker. Her name was Paula Gomez de Fernandez. And at age 8, he began to play guitar, which is pretty young.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but then again, like there was nothing really to do. There was like no video games. Like, what else do we do? Right?
Yeah.
So, which is awesome. I mean, not a lot of kids would say like, hey, I want to play a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe back then they would. I don't know. Maybe it was a cultural thing too. And he was always looking up to Pedro Infante and he wanted to be like him when he grew up. He would always, like, he would watch his movies and he would tell his mom, like, Mom, I want to be like Pedro Infante. Which is pretty cool to have like a role model, that you, especially like somebody famous that, oh, one day I want to be like that person. So that's pretty neat.
And then that you reached your goals.
Yeah.
Right? That's cool.
So he's entered a singing contest at the age of 14 and he won first place, which is cool.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Come on. And then that's what kind of gave him the confidence to start performing. And he then decided that he wanted to start singing, and he started singing at like bars and weddings and like events and restaurants. And beside the fact that he didn't attend like music school, like, you know, like vocals classes, didn't take anything, that he had it, man. Like he was great at like what he did, the singing part of it. um let's see. So he kind of went around kind of asking record labels to kind of help him out, and, you know, be like, give him a chance, but nobody would really like say like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, we'll give you a chance. Like everybody was just like, no, it's like, we're good, you know. So in 1963, Vicente Fernandez married his wife, which her name is Maria del Refugio Albaca, Abarca, sorry, Abarca Villaseñor, which was his neighbor in Guadalajara. And that was before he was famous. Like he knew her. And he kind of told her, like, hey, I have this passion. I want to be a singer. And one day I'm going to be big, and, you know, we're going to live happy, and I'm going to give you everything. And so she's like, okay. So he ended up leaving. And he said, wait for me. You know, he told her, wait for me. I'll come back and I'll send you money and stuff. And so she was just like, okay, yeah. So he ended up leaving. Eventually he came back and he married her. And so, you know, and it was 1963, but that same year, his mother, Paula, had passed away from cancer at the age of 47. And I wanted to kind of add, in one of his interviews, he talks about her death, how it affected him, and how the fact that he didn't have the means, the financial means to provide for her, or to find, you know, to find the income to be able to help her with her cancer treatment, that was one of the things that hurt him a lot, and that kind of, you know, he feels sad about, or felt sad about. So yeah, I mean, and totally understandable, dude. Like when you needed the money,
Yeah.
it wasn't there, and now that you have it, it's like,
Yeah, you can't go back
I
in
can't do
time and
anything about it either way. Yeah. Yeah. So when he was 24, he began singing at with mariachi groups, and he would make money off of like the tips. So they would, you know how people go around like playing and you just tip them,
oh,
like
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
at
yeah.
restaurants and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So that's what he did. And so that's how he would like help his family, basically doing that. And during his mariachi performances, he was introduced to Felipe Arriaga, which convinced him to move to Mexico City. And I guess in Mexico City, since it's a like bigger city, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot more
Opportunity,
opportunities for growth, and for like, you know,
just
for
overall.
especially like for people who want to become like who are aspiring, either sing
Musicians,
exactly
musicians.
musicians. Sorry, it's so late. And then also for acting careers. Um, so by late 1965, he began pitching himself to major label companies, and eventually landed XEX, which is a channel radio and station in Mexico. And it was like one of the biggest radio stations. So I guess that's what kind of put out his music, and people started liking it. They were like, oh, snap, like he's good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so he was finally exposed like nationwide. And a few months later, his life changed forever. Following Javier Solis's death, CBS Mexico signed him, and he recorded Tu Camino y el Mío, Perdóname, and he recorded Cantina del Barrio. And following Soy de Abajo, Ni en Defensa Propia, La Palabra del Rey. Fernandez also branched out to movies, and his first movie was Uno y Medio contra el Mundo. So I remember that, man. I remember like my parents watching his movies, and I was like, oh, you know, who's that dude?
Mm-hmm.
And so even my dad, like, he would sing like him. Like the high pitches. Like my dad can do the high
Yeah.
pitches, but I feel like a lot of Mexican people are like, yeah, I can sing like Vicente.
Yeah.
Even Eileen tries to do it, Eileen.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, but it's pretty. It's like I said, his high pitches. It's a signature, that he
Yeah, it
had.
is. It's
So
very his voice is very like distinguishable.
exactly, and it's kind of like, oh, that's him
Mm-hmm.
when you hear it. Okay, so 3 years later, La Ley del Monte, which was one of his title songs, that's a movie that was recorded that became very famous. And yeah, and so it's a very good song as well. So, and I feel like he was more towards the heartbreak side of like singing and lyrics and music, so
Yeah.
which hits hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And in the 1970s, he released El Rey, El Hijo del Pueblo, para recordar. In 1976, Fernando Maldonado wrote macho heartbreak songs like Volver, Volver, which broke records. So that's one of the songs that's the most famous
Yeah.
and that people like hear all the time. That's like your drink to song, right?
Yeah.
So when you're heartbroken, you play that and you get your bottle of tequila and you just
And then you try to sing like him, right?
yeah, and then you cry.
Yeah.
And then you drink. So that's basically like what that song.
I
That's
can
like
hear the song in my head right now.
yeah, and you want to try to sing it, Ellie?
Y volver, volver. Yeah, you gotta hit it with that high pitch.
You do, man. And so, yeah, it broke records and made him a star. In 1980s, he was said to be the Mexican Idol, and he also built a ranch near Guadalajara called Los Tres Potrillos in honor of his 3 sons, which is Vicente Jr., Gerardo, and Alejandro. And he also has a daughter, Alejandra. In the 1990s, Fernandez released Aunque me duela el alma, me voy a quitar de en medio la mentira. And he also received his Hollywood star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame and the Billboard Hall of Fame as well, which is a big deal. I mean, people that have those stars, it's like, okay,
you made an impact.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And in September 17 of 2002, he got the Person of the Year in the Latin Academy Awards, Latin Grammys. And he would also, this is pretty cool. I didn't know this about him, but he also would play for free in small towns because he knew that in Mexico, like he had fans everywhere and not all the fans were able to pay to go see him. So he would do like free shows, which is pretty cool, dude.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And in 2006 to 2007, he continued to release music, and he had one of the largest Latin music tours in U.S. history. And he also released Para Siempre y Estos Celos and received nominations for the Best Ranchera Album of the Year in 2008 Grammys. He won the Latin Grammy in the fall of 2008 and 2009. In July of 2009, he released Necesito de Ti, which climbed the charts. In 2005, he built the arena that we were talking about, which is, like a big deal. Because, come on, like you're doing stuff for the community. Like, yeah.
And keeping that culture alive still.
Exactly. Right? And I feel like, I don't know. I mean, there's Pepe Aguilar, which he's, very ranchera music. Okay, and then in 2012, I didn't know this, you guys. I, found this out recently, but in 2012, he was diagnosed with liver cancer while touring in Texas. And so he was, I guess, admitted to the hospital there, and they wanted him to do a liver transplant because I guess it was pretty bad. And he, actually, they did find a compatible donor, or a compatible liver, I want to say. And he decided to deny the surgery. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And like the way he talked about it was kind of like, nah, like how am I gonna have somebody else's like
Mhm.
liver? Nah, I'm good. And so I feel like that's a very like old school Mexican, like
Very Hispanic
yeah,
thought
like no,
process.
no, like in denial type thing, I think.
Yeah.
But he decided to travel back to Mexico, and then there he had surgery, and eventually, like that, he beat the cancer. So, yeah, like pretty pretty interesting life so far, from what I wrote.
Mhm.
But in the recent tragedy, we learned that he passed away. I mean, everybody knows it happened in, when did it happen?
I'll talk about it if
Yeah,
you want me
Eileen's
to talk
going to
about it.
talk about his death.
Yeah, so I was going to get into his passing. So Vicente Fernandez passes away on December 12th, 2021. I believe it was like 6:15 a.m. At age 81 due to a respiratory problem. And he left behind a 50-year legacy. I mean, think about that. Like, he really did have a long musical legacy, and he did a great job always, conserving his voice,
Yes.
making sure he took his performances serious, so yeah, he was a respectable artist. And yeah, so Fernandez had been under medical care since August, which was like he was under medical care for 4 months following a fall at his ranch that caused a spinal cord trauma at the cervical spine level. He was placed on ventilatory support and required a tube to be fed. After several days of observation, he was discharged and he was able to return home. He was then later admitted to the hospital again in critical condition with pneumonia. And Fernandez passed away after his respiratory condition worsened. So he did kind of have a history of illness. Fernandez had already been suffering from Guillain-Barré syndrome, an autoimmune disorder where a person's nerves are damaged by their own immune system.
Hmm.
And then also, how you had mentioned, in 2012, he underwent surgery to remove almost half of his liver due to a tumor. And he also faced pulmonary thrombosis and had 3 hernias removed.
Wow, that's a lot of like conditions, dude.
Yeah. So, but in the end, yeah, his respiratory condition worsened and he passed away. Yeah, due to the developing pneumonia.
Yeah. So, it's sad. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's sad. And they announced it everywhere. It became like a worldwide like
Yeah.
breaking news.
Even when he was in the hospital, it was like breaking news too, right?
Yeah, and so for a while, I mean, we knew that he had been sick in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And then like with his passing, he had the funeral. They had a
Yeah.
funeral where people came. There was mariachis that were singing.
But like,
Some celebrities came.
something quick to add, like the interesting part was like the impact of like that news of him being hospitalized. Like, even my parents, man, they would like talk about it like, oh, I wonder how Vicente's doing, he's still in the hospital, nobody says
Yeah,
anything, so
yeah,
it just shows, the impact it had in the community, the Mexican community. So yeah, I mean, he was big,
he
right?
was loved by all
Mm-hmm.
his fans, and he would always say like, as long as you guys continue to see me and continue to clap for me, I will continue to sing. But of course, he was 81, and he
Yeah.
um, did retire. His son Alejandro Fernandez, he's one of an artist as well, very well known, and hopefully he can continue with his music and honoring his father. But yeah, and so he did want to be buried in his ranch, the Tres Potrillos. So that's what they were gonna do. And yeah, it was like his funeral. I mean, I felt like it all happened so quick,
It did.
So it was kind of hard to kind of,
Process.
process the whole
Yeah.
situation. Um, but
It did happen fairly
yeah.
quickly. It did.
And then even listening to the music now, it kind of brings back memories of our childhood, and we grew up listening
Yeah.
to him, and um my dad singing to his music. He even bought, remember, he bought like the little book to like
Oh
read the
yeah,
lyrics
he
so he can
did.
sing, and he
He
would like
did.
practice like singing.
Yeah.
It's cool. I mean, I'm sure he still has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he has it, but yeah, I remember when I told him, he was just like, "What?" And then he came in and had to like reconfirm with my mom. He's like, "Can you believe he passed away?" So it's like,
Yeah.
the impact,
But
you
I mean,
know?
he was older. Like in my mind, I still pictured him young, like, hey, he's probably my dad's
Yeah.
age. But no, he was actually
Yeah.
older. And so, a lot of
He
things
was
happen.
like definitely at that retirement age, but
Yeah.
he did do such a good job conserving his voice that he was able to still
Still
do shows.
sing, dude.
Yeah.
And there's like videos of him um singing to his like granddaughter. It was so
Mhm.
cute. And then like videos of him singing in his ranch. And so I heard, I don't know if this is true, that he still has a lot of unreleased songs. So I don't know if they're going to be releasing any songs in the near future.
That would be
It would
nice.
be nice. You know.
Was it something that you wanted to get into about like the, artists who paid tribute?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that
Oh.
at his funeral, like there was artists that showed up, and they kind of, I know his son was singing and the mariachi was singing his songs, and it was really pretty, like a really pretty like procession type
Mhm.
thing. And um but like I said, it happened really fast, so I was kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, like don't even give me time to like process the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely like the sombrero, you know. He brought it out, made it big.
Yeah. It was great, definitely. Um so yeah, I mean, I feel like for the community, it's always difficult when you lose a great artist. Um
And so also like I feel bad that I kind of didn't go to one of his concerts. But if you guys went to one of his concerts, let us know. We'd like to
yeah.
know how you liked it, and if you guys have any. And then also I was kind of like in TikTok, there's a lot of people uh, that post like people that sing like him and
Mhm.
imitators and things like that, which is cool. And people, I know that some people were saying they were playing like his music in their home and pretty loud so everybody can hear.
Yeah.
And then they were also like bumping his music. I mean, his people were out there in the Hollywood, what is it?
Yeah.
The Hall
Yeah.
of Fame.
Yeah, Hall of
Yeah, they
Fame.
were out there bringing flowers and commemorating. And then also, um, somebody that was singing like him and dressed like him went out there. So it kind of brings people together also.
Mhm.
And so I know um, it's sad, and our condolences to his
Yeah.
family. And um I hope that we're going to be sending prayers, and that everything is fine, and they feel they
Yeah,
feel lifted
support.
with knowing that people love his music, and that he was a definite icon and loved by many. So yeah. Anything else you want to say, Aileen?
I feel like that wraps it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to add to it, or want us to just share some great memories or songs, favorite songs that you guys like, please leave it in the comments. And yeah, and we thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here. Taking the time to listen. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.